Well, hello, and welcome everyone. Um, this is exciting. I am very used to being on Zoom, but not in the webinar style. So this is a little new, and I like new things. I want to welcome you to Pandemic, a wake-up call. And for those of you that either accidentally get kicked off or have any technical difficulties, this is being recorded, and so you'll be able to see it again. And I just want to take a quick second just to acknowledge you for being here. You could be anywhere on Monday night. I certainly could be anywhere. I just, before we really get going, I want to just share a little bit about my day because I think it's so perfect, given that the title of this call or webinar is Pandemic, a wake-up call. So it's also World Gratitude Day today, yay. And so I had everything really tightly planned leading up to this the whole week. And I had to get everything ready with our new branding, and we created products and what have you. And so I knew that for me to be fully immersed in what I was doing and in creative mode, the absolute best thing I could do was just to kind of put the pandemic webinar on Monday, schedule it for Monday, and just, I knew what I wanted to say, but do your outline and get prepared and what have you. Well, Freya and Sixten are just back in school. And so Freya started having a fever this weekend. And then last night, Arian starts getting pretty sick. And she's like, the kids are going to be home tomorrow. Obviously, we can't send them to school. I can't take care of them. So you got to do it. And I was like, well, what about my webinar? And she's like, well, I don't know. Just figure it out. So I figured it out by coming here at 5 o'clock, 2.5 hours before the webinar, to put it all together in my thoughts. So that's I have a potential pandemic at home with the pandemic wake-up call webinar. So again, thank you so much for being here. And I want to invite you to sort of listen from a specific place, like an active listener. And when I say active listener, what I mean is I want you to listen from a completely new space. Let go of all the filters and judgments and history and stories and all of that, and just listen presently, because otherwise you actually close possibilities to hear something that may support you in your life as you move forward. And so I'm not saying that your listening or your judgments or whatever, that's bad. I'm just offering another possibility that may not have been available if you have your filters on. And so what that means is just, be open, even if it's just for 1 hour. You can close down afterwards, take away your filters and listen from the space of as if you created me sitting here right now. Like you literally created this webinar. You created it for you for some reason. And if you listen from that space, you're going to be hungry for what's available to you. So what is in it for you, huh? Why am I doing this? Well, my intention is that when you guys get off this webinar tonight, because of either something that you heard or something that was self-generated in your own thinking, the world will not be the same because of the contribution that you will be. So that's my intention. So my intention is that the world is going to be not the same, hopefully for the better, right? Because of something that you either heard or generated in your own soul or thinking. I hope that you're in for that, because you, each and every one of you, have what it takes. You have what it takes to be that catalyst for the world to be a better place and creating a world that works for everyone. Now, as I was sort of writing this, so I'm a keynote speaker, and I, and also a trainer. And one of the things that we do when we kind of lead in, so I'm just going to give it away right now, is at this point, you usually earn the right. It's called earn the right. And essentially what it is you want to have the audience, to know, like you want them to know that you have the credentials or the experience or knowledge about the topic or the subject that you're talking about. And so I usually have kind of like this one little thing set up for all my talks. And then the pandemic hit and I kind of pulled it up and I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't really make sense because that's not who I am today and that's not where I am at. So rather than telling you that, I was the founder of Gratitude Training or the creator of the Gratitude Show or a keynote speaker or the author of Source Movement, I will say this, because this is what I did a purpose statement with my very good friend Jennifer Grace a while back, and I pulled it up and it rings true no matter what I am or who I am or what I'm doing. And so here it goes. This is my earning the right. I am Joe Englesson, and I'm a charismatic and joyful innovator who creates peace in the world in the field of transformation and technology. That's who I am. And no matter where I go, I can plug that in. And what really matters more than accolades or experience and history and all this stuff is really what matters most for me is my vision. And I think for some of you that are even on this webinar that know me is that has rung true ever since you've known me. It's always my vision. I'm a visionary, and that's how I guess I was born to be. And also how I execute that vision and inspire others to step into their vision and take action on their vision. That's my intention and my goal in life. And that is why I've invited you here tonight. And I'm excited about some of the things we're going to cover here tonight. So, pandemic, a wake-up call. Like, why would I name something with pandemic in it? Obviously, I created pandemic into my house because of it. We don't know if we have COVID or not at our house, but it's just hilarious that everybody's sick right now. But let's talk about this real quick, because I think it's becoming clearer and clearer that the virus has been here long before COVID-19, long before COVID-19. And, my background is in computer science. And I used to consult for large law firms in the 90s. Yes, I am that old. And so back in the day, the computer viruses that were created and distributed were either like slam dunk, it just crashed your computer completely and you couldn't use it. Or there were some that were more like systematically running over time and starting to infect different software, different files, different things, like slowly and kind of sneakily. And so what I've been noticing over the last decade with the exponential growth that we see in processing power and social media and other newer emerging technologies, whether it's AI and the advertisement models that are out there today. So what I've been seeing is that over time, I'm seeing that we've become programmable beings. So we've become programmable beings. Essentially, we've become the computers. And we're all running our own different operating systems. And there's, some of us are open for attack, meaning open for viruses to enter into our operating system that may create or may create not so good things. And maybe there's some software that you're installing or that you're subscribing to that are actually creating what you want. And so we're living right now in a world that is sort of like, some of us call it, what's the new normal. And I think it's just a label, But I think we're definitely in a new era, and I think we were in a new era. We were moving in towards a new era before the pandemic hit, before COVID hit, and before everything that we're seeing in the world right now. And I've always been very interested in watching that from a technological standpoint, and also being in the transformational arena from a human being standpoint. And so what I've been seeing is that, especially having kids, but I've been seeing that we are becoming quicker learners. We are, our attention span is like going like this, where we could easily watch, hours on end of personal development or different things, whatever. And now it's like, no, it's got to be within 1 minute on TikTok. And that's the only way I'm going to learn. And that's the only way, like the Instagram videos, the quick things. And they used to say like a good promo video is like 5 minutes. Now it's like, yeah, 30 seconds. That's all you got to say exactly what you want. And you have to become a master in it. Because after 30 seconds, the person keeps scrolling, because that's how quick it is right now. And so imagine that over a long period of time, and it just getting quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And now our neurons and our brains are literally changing. and we're starting to take the information in faster. We don't even have time to think about the information or be critical thinkers about what we're subscribing to, which is why I'm saying that we've become programmable. Like I get that we're not computers, but I think that from a spiritual aspect, we are nothing until we are something. And so now the something is programmable. We've also have technology that has saved us time, and we've become faster at producing things, which has also put a lot more pressure on us to perform. And like, if you don't get back to someone within 5 minutes, it's like, they're like, well, what are you doing? Where it's like before it would take 4 days to do a proposal for something, right? So there's like this hustle, this constant hustle, and it's like time is shrinking, and mostly time is shrinking because of our stinking thinking, right? Because we are taking all this in and allowing it to occupy our brains, so much so that we become disconnected, addicted, you name it, whatever it is. And so what we've been doing is we've been subscribing to anything that has us feel better in the moment, because it's so quick. So it's like, oh, I'm stressed. I don't feel okay. Well, this makes me feel good, so I'm going to subscribe to this. It feels me better. It makes me feel better in the moment. But we're not taking into account what the longer term result is of subscribing to that thought or that belief or that comment or that whatever. And so we don't realize how it's affecting the next moment and the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. So therefore, over time, we've had this virus spreading, and now pandemic, COVID hits. And it's very easy to go, oh, COVID is what caused all my trouble. Okay. But no, in my experience, what happened with COVID is that, and all the other issues that are highlighted because of COVID, was simply the effects of a virus that has been growing for a very long time. And now here's where we kind of have a choice. We could either choose to be grateful that it's here, because, without it and without this drastic breakdown, maybe we would not be aware of how we've been living with this long-term virus and how we've been relating to each other and the world over the past decades. So with that said, the pandemic is actually not the COVID, or the pandemic is not the cause of our problem. It is actually the effect of our problems that we have created. And therefore, I will go as far as to say that on some level, we've created this. on some level, we have generated us being hit by a 2x4. Because if we weren't hit by a 2x4 right now, I don't know what freight train is coming next. So I used to say when I had taken the gratitude training that it was like being hit by a 2x4, like, whoa. And so here we are, and we can choose to either be hit by a 2x4 and go, whoa, it's time to look at something here, or we can choose to hit back. It's our choice. It's our choice. Now, I don't want you to hear it as like we did something wrong or blame or whatever, but just really kind of look at it. If we now got hit by a 2x4, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to say, thank you for illuminating all my blind spots and all the blind spots in the world, and now I can step up and create a future that I want my children to grow up in, that I can be proud, that I left behind for them? Or am I just going to grab another 2x4? And so for me, the answer has been very easy. It's been very easy for me. But the road to it, the road to the answer, not so much. Not so much. And so to give you some background, the pandemic wasn't my 2x4. Okay? My 2x4 happened 3 years ago when Hurricane Irma destroyed my training center. And then subsequent to that, I had about 5 more blows. So by the time that COVID hit and I shut down the gratitude training overnight, I was like, you know what? Because usually what I would do is I would get hit by a 2x4 and I would reboot and I would get back on and I would just keep trucking, but I was trucking in the same track. But with COVID, it had been so many blows that I had no energy or personal power to actually reboot. You know, somehow I knew in my heart that it was time to take a really hard look at what was going on in my context, in my life, and outside in the world as a whole. So I immersed myself. In current events, news, politics, observing what was going on social media, and I got quiet and I stepped back, and I was attacked by a lot of people in our own community that were just like, why aren't you talking? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And I was just like, oh, no. I need to look at this right now, because there's something way bigger operating here than a pandemic and economic hardships and even people dying. There's something deeper and bigger happening right now. And I was determined to either figure out what it was or figure out a solution, because I'm a problem solver by heart. So I realized that it was actually a lot simpler than I thought. The solution. I realized it was a lot simpler than I thought. And it all boils down to personal responsibility and individual leadership. So personal responsibility and individual leadership. Sounds very personal, and it is. Because essentially, when we begin to really account for all that has and maybe still is obviously occurring, and we take a moment to reflect, and then before we react to it, we start looking at how we're interacting with it in the current moment, in the present, because it's all we have is the current moment. And then we make a choice that aligns with what is important to us. like our principles, our vision for the world, that's all that matters. It's a choice in that moment of presence where you get clear on, wait, what do I want? And you act accordingly. So I will tell you this. I believe that no matter how divided the world gets, whether it's differences in religion, politics, everything, no matter how divided it gets, we are born to want belonging, inclusion, love, connection, all of it. We are born that way. And so whatever has happened for some of us along the way, and then this systemic virus that has been operating in the last couple of decades, we just kind of lost track. But I guarantee you, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. And so when we start realizing that, there's actually a new leadership that emerges. It's a new form of leadership. And it's actually a leadership that is unique to each and every one of us, which means even in order to describe that leadership, you can't use the terms that you're like, well, a leader is this, a leader is that, or does this, or should be this. You have to look more on the deeper distinctions of what the leader is putting out there or contributing. And it doesn't matter where they're contributing it. It could be at home with your kids. It could be a teacher at school with the students. It could be, I always use Starbucks in my talks. I don't know why. The barista at Starbucks. How is she being a leader? Okay, so there's a new leadership that's emerging. And it's unique to each and every one of us, which means that we are innately all leaders. The question is, what kind of leader are you? How exciting, right? What kind of leader are you? And how does that leader and that leadership fit into the bigger picture of creating a world that works for everyone, that creating a world that is peaceful, connected, and loving, creating a world where everybody contributes and listens to each other and loves each other instead of sitting behind a keyboard in a room at home and spewing attacks on social media? What kind of leader are you? And ask yourself that. Because leadership is about becoming aware, awake. And then you couple that with a vision that drives you. And then you add a little bit or a lot of it of authenticity. And then kindness and love and compassion, right? It doesn't matter what stage you are on. You could be on the stage in the classroom or the stage in the kitchen or a stage at work or the world stage. It's the same qualities that are needed for this world to become a better place. And you all have what it takes. We all have what it takes. And we cannot sit back and look at leaders in our country or in the world right now and point fingers and say that they're doing it wrong. Because at the end of the day, as a collective, we put them there. And again, decades of this occurring. This did not happen overnight. Yes, maybe it feels like the pandemic did, but the pandemic is just showing us where we have ended up. And the cool thing is, like I said, it's simple. It's simple. All you have to do is figure out what your unique contribution is and your unique leadership and step into that, and the world will follow. The same leaders will be installed in places that you want them to be installed, and who knows, maybe some of them are you. I don't know. So if you think about it, what happens in the world when we're coming from fear and, this, I can't even, what happens in the world when we come from fear, right? Or when we come from love? I mean, let's just look at the US right now. Are you kidding me right now? the division and like that we're literally as a collective making a pandemic political. I mean, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. And it's not really what's happening now. We're sitting in the result of what's happened before. And we're thinking it's happening now. So now, since that happened before, for us to see it now, let's put in now what we want to see in the future. Let's figure out what we can do now, even though we might not see the result right away. I mean, we're like, hey, I want an iPhone charger, and next day, soon it'll be a drone dropping it off at my doorstep. I mean, we want this instant gratification so bad, and we've gotten so used to it that we forgot what it takes to actually put the work in and wait and be patient. And that's where we need to move to. That's where individually we all need to move to. Baby steps. I mean, put down the phone for an hour and do something that you know aligns with your vision. I mean, I certainly had to do that today, playing Legos, when I really felt like I needed to write this so that I could deliver something so powerful and rehearsed and perfect. No, it's not about that. It's about us becoming present and just surrendering to what is and trusting what's about to become. Which is why I have papers in front of me, because of course I have not had any time to even read what I wrote. So at the end of the day, there is no black or white. There's no black or white. There's no red or blue. There's no God or Allah. It's really only and inclusion. It's black and white. It's red and blue. It's God and Allah. Like, I live in Lighthouse Point, and my kids play with the neighbors across the canal, and we have different political views, and strongly so. Yet we have an understanding. I know that they want the same thing. They know I want the same thing for our kids. And so we are able to connect, and it's not or division or anything. We have to begin to include everyone and trust and understand that we're not all going to look the same and be the same, which is why I say that there's a new leadership emerging, and it's unique to each individual. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, we accept what is. We let go of the past. We recreate our future from nothing, no thing. We declare what we want, and we take a stand to find that unity, that connection, that gratitude and love in all of our affairs and in all of our relationships. Okay? Now go do that. Sounds simple, right? I know it's not, but it is. Because I know that you're emotionally intelligent enough to know that that's true. And we might just have an ego that's been running the show for a couple of decades that doesn't want to hear it. So it's my belief that what's needed right now in this moment in time is leaders that know how to be the guiding light for everyone in their presence and beyond. And again, it's about becoming aware, interested, learning stuff, learning distinctions, virtues, values, concepts, tools, that will have you thrive as a peacemaker who is present, authentic, contributing, and most importantly, a beacon of light in every single moment, even in the hardest and dimmest of times, that you could still rise up and be that beacon of light. It might be for your 3-year-old. It might be for your boss or your employee. It might be for leaders. It's up to all of us together to rewrite a new narrative right now. A new narrative that we want to leave for future generations. And it really doesn't matter what your opinions are about what's going on in the world right now. It really doesn't matter. And I'm not saying to become resigned and be like, well, I'm not even watching the news anymore. I don't partake in anything, because that's not gonna work either. It's not. Now, I do understand that we all have really valid circumstances and considerations that are happening in our lives right now, whether you have a loved one that died, whether you lost your job, lost your business. I mean, there's a lot going on, lost your house. I don't know, whatever it is for you. I get that. And we get to acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean that we're just going to throw up our hands and give up and sit and talk smack. It doesn't. And it may take some time, like I said, to rise up again. But it's going to be worth it. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to have this virus running in our operating systems. So on the simplest level, choose something that will change your path. Even if it's just a little, maybe an hour a day, like I said. And do that again. And then the next day, do it again. And the next day you do it again. And you do it again. I'm going to go on for 10 decades right now. And begin to lead in your life with that unique leadership and that unique presence that only you have. You're the only one that have your history and your experience. Use it. Use it to lead. So what's next? So the question is, how can I support you to support me to create the new world? How can I support you to support me and create the new world? Because I am committed, and like I said, I believe in the good of everyone. I believe in forgiveness, and I believe in compassion. And I believe it's time that we access all of that. And so 10 years ago, I reimagined a curriculum that was already out there. And I created gratitude training. And there were certain aspects that I saw was, what worked, what didn't work, what was missing, what I got to put in, right? And so from that, I generated, over 20,000 students over 10 years in 5 cities, actually more cities, some cities open and closed, what have you. We were all over the place. And then, I've had some time now because we've been closed down for 6 months. And at first I was very resistant because I just want to get back in the training room. I just want to get back in the training room. We do in-person trainings for those that don't know, transformational leadership trainings. And then slowly, I saw other people trying different things. I got feedback. I heard what worked, what didn't work. I was trying to position myself in a place that would serve my bigger vision. And I started realizing that all these things that had happened over the last few years, whether it was a hurricane, pandemic, name it, all of it. I was cyberbullied for 2 years. That those were signs that I wasn't actually living from my heartfelt desires anymore. And they were just, like I said, 2x4s, just going, you're doing it again, you're doing it again, you're doing it again. And I have had some time to really realize who I am. And I've had some opportunities lately to be a trainer again. Because what I've been doing the last 3 years is sitting in my office and handling drama and circumstances. And slowly my creative forces and my creative and my personality, all of it just started kind of like, I'm not having fun anymore. And if for those again that know me, if you hear Joe Englesson saying I'm not having fun anymore, you know it's got to be pretty bad. And the problem was I wasn't listening to what was being presented until just last few months, where I realized that, you know what, it's time to pivot. And I also started feeling that creative, because I had some time to just stop. The creative forces started coming, and we decided to rebrand the company and then pivot, because what I realized is the world is changing significantly. I don't know, for those of you that have seen the movie Ready Player One, I'm not saying we're going there yet, but it's essentially virtual, like you're living in, a shack, but you're putting on your virtual reality glasses and you live another life in there. And that's how programmable we are. That maybe that will happen in the future. I don't know. But right now, I am noticing that things are shifting, and to go and take 4 or 5 days out of your life and your family to do these in-person transformational trainings that we can't do right now, I'm noticing that most people are really enjoying just the plug-in, like once a week, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and plugging into this conversation and then taking it out in your life. And that's the experiential learning that you get. Because in the trainings, what we used to do is we would create experiences so that we could see how we would handle them, or how, like we would have all these things that occurred. Well, right now we're actually living in those. We're living, like maybe we would create a pandemic in the training, and now we're actually living in a pandemic. Okay. So the experience is happening to all of us right now. So really all that's needed is that inspiration and the tools, so that you can go out next week and kind of, okay, I got this. And oh my God, I'm doing this, just this awareness. And so because of that, I decided to create a new curriculum. And it's scary, right? It's scary. But then I was like, you know what? I created gratitude training, and it had amazing results, and people are transforming the world because of it. So why shouldn't I create something else? Why shouldn't I create and risk and change it up a little bit? And so I'm creating a self-study program where you can do this on your own time. And the good news is you still get to have a weekly call with the group that are in the same class, not at the same time. It's more like a coaching group call. So there'll be different things happen from different facets of that whole course, because someone might have only done week 1 and someone might have done like week 6 or lesson 6, but you're on the same call together, talking like this, talking about what are we doing as leaders. This is not about self-help or, on some level it's about personal development, only because you're stepping into this new leadership and you're getting more clear on who you are, authentically are, and how you want to contribute and what you're willing to do and be. But it's not about self-help in the old normal, because now we're in the new normal. So essentially, for those of you that resonate, so I'm committed to creating a new movement. And I've always been committed to creating Source Movement, which is my book. But I'm committed to creating this new movement of the new kind of leader that are emerging to sow that, like that love and that context for the new narrative that is essential in my world, that is essential, it's implemented for my children. And I already have that happen for them in my home, but we get to do it in the world and together. And it's not about me teaching you something. It's about us inspiring each other to rise up and stop the nonsense. So I invite you to join me. What the world needs now, right? So what I'll say is, the curriculum right now, it's World Gratitude Day, so you have an amazing opportunity to kind of dip your feet in, because the very first session of the first course. So that first course has 4 sessions in it, but the first session is on gratitude, and that session is free today. So you can sign up for that one and actually get a sampling of kind of like, wait, what's this going to look like? Now, that first course is self-study only. You don't get, other than me on video, you don't get me live in the first session. And then after that, it's Source Movement, which is it's normally an 8-week course. I suggest you do it over 8 weeks, but you could do it in 1 week, or you can do it over a year. And there's weekly calls that you can plug in, and keep staying in the conversation. And then you get the tools over here whenever it's convenient for you. And then out of that, there's more of a leadership, like really creating the next creative peacemakers in the world, which is, it's not for everyone, but it's really, if you really want to take it to the next level and be a bigger contribution really out there in the world. And that's called Catalyst for Change. And so today, beautiful gratitude day. Normally Source Movement is $295, but today we're doing it for $29.50, because normally on gratitude day, I would give part 1 a $495 in-person workshop for free, and thousands of people would sign up because, oh my God, I get this for free. And so we decided to offer Source Movement, just because this is like the first time we're doing it in this self-study way. The gratitude course is already available, ready to go. I saw there was like probably 80 or 90 people so far, and I can see that you guys have started doing it, like I can see which classes you've done. It's a really cool system. And so I'm grateful for that, because that makes me want to create more. Source Movement will be available by October 12th to start. And then also the full course in 101. So this is what I'm creating. I'm creating a new curriculum called the Creative Peacemaker Journey, because I know that I'm called forth to do it, and I am aligning all my creativity behind it, and I'm lit up. I'm lit up about being teaching and talking, and not just sitting in this, oh my God, what's going on? Because I know now that we will make a difference, and we will change, and we will create and transform this planet, and politics and religions and racial matters. We're going to transform it all. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it simply by stepping into our unique leadership, wherever that is for us. And that's what's going to have world peace on our planet. So let's do what we love. Do what we love, like really. And again, we will send you a link. It's actually for the courses that are available for the next 48 hours, actually. It's Academy, and we're going to give this to you in an email as well, but I'll just say it now because some of you are so excited. Academy, I love that I'm cracking myself up. Academy.gratitude.com and /World Gratitude Day. So academy.gratitude.com/World Gratitude Day. And please check out our new website. We're on gratitude.com now, which is, talk about a movement here. We got a domain name to go with it. So let's do this. And I'm excited to expand on gratitude.com and create amazing things there as well. So check out the new branding, check out our site, subscribe, whatever. Let's get going. And I thank you for being here. And I love you all. And I'm going to look in the chat to see if there's any questions relevant that I may answer in an email to all of you. And we'll go from there. So thank you so much, everyone.